The free speech and First Amendment rights of the dethroned Miss California Carrie Prejean have been so silenced, her freedom so denied, that she has only done 3 national TV interviews in the last 24 hours, including one in the downstairs part of this studio. Our #1 story, did she leave any more of those personal videos hanging around? Give Ms. Prejean credit for Moxie, a sex tape in which she is alone and which was played for her while she sat there with her mother, who did not know about it in advance, is revealed. And she's still out there hawking her new book on TV, all thanks to the miracle of free speech and video cameras with remote panning devices. But what we might have learned from her interview with Sean Hannity last night is that the answer to every question, no matter the subject, would end with a restatement of her mission to save free speech as we know it.
Americans should not be attacked for their beliefs. They should not be silenced. You know, we have the freedom of speech, and I was punished. I was fired. I was brutally attacked and still being attacked. People are still trying to dig up things from my past. People have heard bits and pieces of, you know, the liberal media's version of it, but basically it's for Americans who believe their beliefs are under attack.
It's amazing.
Of course, Ms. Prejean fails to understand that her free speech rights do not apply to what she says on a privately owned TV network during a privately owned beauty pageant. Besides, nobody was trying to stop her from speaking her mind before, during, or after that pageant. And of course, she was not fired for doing that. She was fired for breach of contract. And that was after the pageant, through the decree of the franchise's owner, Donald Trump, had given her a pass for those so-called modeling pictures that had surfaced. Little did we know that apparently earlier she'd made a tape, perhaps in hopes of becoming a hand model. This morning, the tour continued on NBC's Today Show, where Ms. Prejean gave her stock answer about whether or not this tape was a sex tape. She offers a potentially clever answer, given that the tape may someday be released.
You can call it whatever you want to call it. If you want to call it a sex tape, that's fine, but...
Well, what do you call it?
It was me by myself. There was no one else with me. I was not having sex. I sent it to my boyfriend at the time. I was a teenager. I cared about him. I trusted him. And, you know, but the main point is that there has been a campaign against me to try and silence me for the past 7 months for the answer that I gave at the pageant.
So even life that with her pageant answer, like posing half nude for modeling photos or making a sex tape, have been used to attack her because of the real motive. Try to keep up.
All I know is there's been a campaign against me to try and silence me. They've tried to embarrass me. They've tried to humiliate me. They've tried to attack me, and I'm still standing.
No surprise, her book is called Still Standing, and kudos for working in the title half a dozen times during these interviews. Anyway, not content with talking points, Ms. Vieira dared to press Ms. Prejean on why she dropped her lawsuit, particularly since that lawsuit was theoretically a vehicle for Prejean to prove that she was fired for her beliefs.
So, Carrie, why did you drop the lawsuit against pageant officials? I mean, you've charged them with libel and slander and religious discrimination. If you feel that strongly about it, why drop the lawsuit? Were you worried about this tape becoming public?
Well, everything that happened in mediation is completely confidential. I made a promise, you know, not to discuss anything that was discussed in there.
In other words, you got rid of your freedom of speech, didn't you? Convenient, returning to Ms. Prejean's thesis already in progress.
Well, I think it's important for people to understand. I think that Americans heard only bits and pieces of what really happened. And I think that there is a liberal bias in the media. And it's unfortunate that, you know, conservative women are attacked. They are attacked for their beliefs. So many Americans believe that their beliefs, you know, are under attack and they should be silent, and free speech doesn't exist. Since when does free speech not exist?
Yep, we're getting warmer, but first a quick detour to the issue of Ms. Prejean's hypocrisy.
But there are people who say they want to call you on the carpet when they feel you're being a hypocrite. In the book you write, our bodies are temples of the Lord. We should earn respect and admiration for our hearts, not for showing skin to look sexy. So now people are seeing this tape, whatever you want to call it, sexy, and they're saying, well, yeah, she's a hypocrite. She writes a book that says one thing.
I'm a model. I was in a beauty pageant. I mean, if people want to call me a hypocrite, then that, you know, that's their prerogative.
Okay, if the tea is steady, Ms. Prejean, you're a hypocrite. But when Sarah Palin's name was invoked, we might have known that Ms. Prejean would arrive at her coup de grace.
You say in the book you've been Palinized, referencing Sarah Palin. Mm-hmm. What do you mean by that? I've been Palinized.
You know of the attacks Sarah Palin's been under. There is an extreme double standard that conservative women are under attack for whatever it is. I mean, if Sean Hannity went out there and said some of the things that Keith Olbermann has said about me, you know, if he said anything about Sonia Sotomayor or Michelle Obama, he would be off the air. Why is there this double standard? And that's the reason why I wrote this book.
Well, several points. Part of the double standard. Ms. Prejean, you're not Justice Sotomayor or the First Lady of the United States. Surprise. Second, Mr. Hannity has relentlessly pressed a case that both Sonia Sotomayor and Michelle Obama are themselves racists. He did the far right's bidding in taking Sotomayor's words out of context in a speech she had given. He used a court case in which Sotomayor had followed precedent to paint her as a reverse racism extremist. With Michelle Obama, Hannity repeatedly distorted a passage in her college senior thesis to suggest that others' views on race that she was describing were actually her own views, including the words white oppressor. And words do matter, which is why there is often a fight over context and meaning. So, Ms. Prejean, have you ever considered what you were saying in that beauty pageant answer, right before you said that you believe that marriage should be between a man and a woman?
Well, I think it's great that Americans are able to choose one or the other. We live in a land that you can choose same-sex marriage or opposite marriage.
Yeah, except gay people don't have that choice because the majority of straight people use their majority power to deny it. So when you use those words, whether you knew what you were saying or not, you must expect something of a pushback. As for unfair attacks on men or women, it has never been limited to conservative women.
Well, this is entirely predictable, is it not? I mean, Nancy Pelosi basically did everything except sell her own body to get this bill passed, okay? She did everything. She had to, everything was on the table.
But the most truthful answer you've given thus far was a simple nod and a yeah.
There were a lot of people who, it's deplorable that happened to you. On the other hand, it's the best thing that happened to you. Isn't it? Yeah.
That's Countdown. I'm Keith Olbermann, and to sign off the way Carrie Prejean might, it's Girl Scouts. Oh, no, I'm sorry. 3, I'm sorry. And good luck.